Welcome back to Behind the Scenes, Utopia Vineyard. This is show number 4, which was going to be our final show. But Cruiser Mail, we have made a change of plans.
Yeah, I think we may be doing a couple more.
Couple more, at least 2 or 3 more. We have had requests to do some more. We're glad people are enjoying it, and we have special guests lined up. We have a new one for you tonight, as a matter of fact. So we appreciate everybody watching it, and we are glad that people are interested in this. I know it's not for everybody, but it's been a lot of fun and very educational without a doubt. So, and I want to make sure, because I don't want to forget, Crazy Mel.
What's that?
Y'all seen me wear the Utopia t-shirt, and I know other people have as well, and I just thought the back was cute, so I want to make sure I showed that.
Pinot Noirvana.
Yeah, that's on the back of those t-shirts. So anyway.
And you can get those shirts at his website, right? utopiawine.com.
That's right. Sure can.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. We hope you've enjoyed our tasters and our special guests. I think you're really going to enjoy the one tonight. And yeah, I think that's about it, Cruiser Mail. We'll come up with a name, extended series, or 4, 5, and 6, and 7. I don't know. 5, 6, and 7.
We could. What is it they call those really big wine bottles? Magnums. We can call it.
Magnum edition.
Magnum edition.
That's what we could have done tonight. We had so much filming, we decided not to do it all because it would have been over 2 hours, about almost 2.5 hours. So we're going to go with this one. This is a long one, but it's a good one. You're really going to like it, I think. I hope so anyway. And why don't we go see Dan the Man and get this going?
Awesome. Let's go see Dan.
Yeah. Cheers.
I could be jealous and grasping with greed. I could pretend that I want something I don't need. These are the things that go through my head, but then I could be an angel disguised as a man. I could be the sun that shines in the midnight land. If you would only stand in my corner, give that advantage to me. Don't you feel something? You know what I'm thinking, but I can't set it free. We must play this game, take the prize, but not before you realize win or lose is all the same. Maybe we can play this game. I can't remember the reason I'm here. Sometimes it seems like it's all out of habit or fear. Sometimes I wish I could just go to sleep, but then I'll have a dream with a beautiful end. I'll wake up and feel alive, and I'm off again. If I could only keep your connection, give me whatever remains, then I might win you total liberation. But I can't break these chains. We must play this game. Let's pretend that we could never
We got Dan here from the Utopia Vineyard in Oregon. He's having some fun chatting with somebody. But bring him on the show.
Hi, everybody. That's Aaron.
Yeah, let's see her.
Welcome.
Let's see her. Tell her to come say hello. Let's make her famous.
Say hello, Aaron.
She
likes it in the background.
She said, I don't want to party with those old people. I get it. All right. So we got tonight's, besides me and Dan so far, is progesterone night. Progesterone. We have Kathleen Forsyth from Martha's Vineyard and Shira. We have Leslie Merrick from Massachusetts. We have Cindy Michelson from the West Coast. Good enough? And Linda, again, Fisher from Delaware. And, of course, Cruiser Mel from Texas and me from Alabama. And this is our behind the scenes with Utopia Vineyard. We have a surprise guest again. So let's, without further ado, let's see who it is. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Prairie Prince from the Tubes.
The unveiling.
What's going on, sir?
Nice shirt.
Nice shirt.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm here in San Francisco. You said you're from the West Coast. Where are you? Where in the West Coast are you from?
I'm in San
Portland.
Diego,
San Diego. Okay.
but I was born in San Francisco and Marin, and then went to Sonoma County. So I kind of am a West Coast girl.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, welcome all you Easterners or wherever else you're from to the West Coast, where it is. It's been like 65, 70 degrees every day for the last 2 or 3 weeks. Wow. It's just
It's been really rough.
I've been enjoying myself. So
Awesome. That's good news.
Good.
Okay.
All right.
Perfect.
That's
Well,
my
we're gonna
introduction. That's
We're
my
going to do a little
introduction.
Chardonnay tonight. So, Oregon Chardonnay. And Dan, without further ado, let's hear about it. So, we
All
start
right.
drinking.
All right. Hey, everybody.
Hey,
Good to see you all.
good to see
I'm
you.
coming to you from the vineyard in Portland, in the Portland area, in Oregon, in the Willamette Valley. We're in the Ribbon Ridge American Viticultural Area, which is the tiniest American viticultural area in Oregon, one of the tiniest in the country. And I've got my 2015 State Chardonnay right here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pour a little in my glass so it can start to breathe a little bit. It's a little bit cold. I want it to warm up. In general, we drink our white wines too cold and our red wines too warm. So you might want to think about that. So Chardonnay is relatively new in the Willamette Valley, even though we have the ideal climate for it. Our traditional white wine grape, our leading white wine grape, has been Pinot Gris or Pinot Grigio in Italy. Same grape, but very different style. And it's also one of the classified wines from the Alsace region in France, where they make a more creamy, richer style. Chardonnay started to really gain a lot of popularity here once we were able to get the Dijon clones from Burgundy, which are the same ones that we have for our Pinot Noir. And we started planting those about 15 years ago, not too long after I got here. And the wines have been doing great, and we're pretty much recognized now for our Chardonnay as well as our Pinot Noir, but we're just not as well known for Chardonnay yet. But it'll be the next thing that we are famous for. From a winemaking perspective, Chardonnay is the hardest wine to make well. And the reason I say that is because it's like a blank sheet of paper. Any little mistake that you make in the process is going to be amplified in the finished wine with Chardonnay. It's going to stick out like a sore thumb. So you have to as a winemaker, you want to have the most granular level of control possible when making Chardonnay. And through the years, I've experimented quite a bit with my methodologies to create the style of Chardonnay that I want. And by the way, you guys feel free to interrupt me anytime if you have questions. But But over the years, what I've evolved to is picking it a little bit underripe, because I like to preserve a little bit more of the acidity, which is going to lift the flavors in the finished wine. I like all my wines to be centered with the fruit, and I want the authentic fruit characteristics of the grape to be the core of the wine, and then for the other secondary and tertiary aromas and flavors to emanate from that core. With the wines that I make here, we use nothing but French oak. It has to be French, which are the most expensive barrels in the world. If you think about Chardonnay from different regions, by the way, it is the most widely planted grape on planet Earth. It's planted more than any other grape, and it's planted in more places than any other grape. So you get a very broad spectrum of styles as a result. And we all are very familiar with the classic California, it's the kind of the cliche of the classic California Chardonnay, which is the big, buttery, oaky version of Chardonnay. And then if you go kind of to the other end of the spectrum, to Burgundy, you get a much crisper style, more acid-driven, and less oak. But that's kind of, that's a generalization in both cases. Here in Oregon, we're kind of in between California and Burgundy. And so we have a lower alcohol style similar to Burgundy because we have a cool climate similar to Burgundy. But our fruit in an average year will get fully ripe, whereas in Burgundy, it struggles to get fully ripe. And then in California, where you have a lot more heat in most of the places where it's grown, even though they may have a marine influence or high elevation to try to mitigate that, it's a warmer climate. And so they get riper fruit, meaning more sugars in development, which means higher alcohol and more viscous styles than what we have here. So we're I think we have the best of both worlds with our Chardonnays. And I encourage everyone, if you haven't had Willamette Valley Chardonnay, to try and get your hands on some and maybe do a comparison between the different regions, which is something fun to do. Maybe get yourself a nice white Burgundy and a classic California Chardonnay like a Rombauer or something like that, and then a good Willamette Valley Chardonnay, and there's plenty of them around now.
Mm. So Chardonnay is I get a lot of people a lot of wine drinkers, even though it's a very popular wine and mass produced, I hear a lot of people say they don't care for Chardonnay.
Oh, yeah.
Why did you decide despite that, you've decided to do that and go against the grain in a sense, because most people over there are doing Pinot Gris. Why would you go that route instead of doing the Pinot Gris? What do you like?
There's a number of reasons. First of all, I hear that quite a bit. There's what we call the ABC Club, the Anything But Chardonnay Club. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you've all heard that.
Yeah.
And usually, if I get the wine in their mouth, they find out that they actually do like Chardonnay, that they've just been drinking the wrong Chardonnay. So Chardonnay is it's a full-bodied white wine, and it's one of the noble grapes, right? So it can command a much higher price. So frankly, one of the reasons, because having limited land here to plant on, my vineyard is about a total of 18.8 acres, and about 17 of that is under vine, as we say. And I've got about 3.5 acres of Chardonnay, 3 different low-yielding Dijon clones that most of the Grand Cru Burgundies are made from. And if I was to plant Pinot Gris there, Pinot Gris does not command the type of retail price that the Chardonnay can. It's just not as commercially viable. So that's one reason. The other reason is it's my favorite variety in white wines. There's nothing like a good Chardonnay with some shellfish or the appropriate, food pairing. And I think once you discover really good Chardonnay, you realize that even if you think you're in the ABC Club, and it's a great, I drink more white wines in the summer, like most people, when it's warmer out, you want something more refreshing. And so we go to the white wines that we can chill a little bit. And Chardonnay can stand. I mean, you can drink Chardonnay with a ribeye steak in the summertime, and it's a perfect pairing. So it has a lot of versatility, like Pinot Noir. And like I said, it's one of the noble grapes, and it is the true companion to Pinot Noir in Burgundy. 100% of white Burgundy is made from Chardonnay. 100% of red Burgundy is made from Pinot Noir, and those are my two favorite varieties, and that's what I grow here in this site today.
And let's face it, it's grown in Utopia.
Yes.
Sorry, say that again.
I said, let's face it, it's grown in Utopia. So
right, yes.
There's no other place better than that.
How bad could it be?
Yes.
I love the name. I love the name. It's good.
Yes.
Thank you.
I haven't tried the wine yet. When do we get to try it?
Right now.
I've got mine right here. Let's do it.
I just opened my bottle. Do I have to wait?
Nope. Just go ahead and taste it.
Okay.
Get a first impression, and then after a while it'll open up. It'll warm up a little bit, and then as you taste,
right?
you'll get more of the aromas and flavors as you go.
All right. Well, cheers.
Cheers, everyone.
Yeah.
All right.
I got a little.
So, Dan, is your Chardonnay more popular or the Pinot Noir Blanc?
Oh, well, that's a good question. So I also make this Pinot Noir Blanc, or white Pinot Noir. Some of you may not be aware of that. I would say that it's a mix. The Chardonnay is a little bigger production for me, and so I sell more of the Chardonnay. But they're both pretty popular. I mean, it's probably 50-50. Most people, if they like my Chardonnay, then they also like my Pinot Noir Blanc, because there's a certain thread that goes through the style of the white wine when I make it. I started to go off on how I get the control over the Chardonnay. With my reds, I do native ferments, right? So I'm not adding any commercial yeast. I'm using the natural yeast from the grapes in the vineyard. And that works really well for the reds. But with white wines, you want to have a little more control. So I'm using my favorite Burgundy yeast called CY3079. Not that important, but it's a very, very well-known white Burgundy yeast, and it really enhances the fruit characteristics of the wine and the finished product. Really brings out the tropical nature of the fruit, the pineapple, etc., which I love. And then when we do it, we harvest it, like I said, a little bit underripe to retain a little bit more of the acid. So around, say, 21.5 to 22 bricks versus 23 or 24 with Pinot. Mm-hmm. And then we press it the same day. It's all whole cluster press probably within an hour of when it's picked. And then it'll ferment in a tank, in a stainless steel variable capacity tank. And then once it goes through primary alcoholic fermentation, we'll barrel it down. And at that point, I divide it into three different lots, about 40% to 45% in stainless steel drums, and then about 40% in neutral French oak, and then about 15 to 20% in new French oak. And then they will remain in those lots until bottling it a year or more later. And then that's when I will blend them to get the exact balance I want out of those three lots in the finished wine. Well, so that gives me a lot of control over the process.
Yeah, I think you got I heard a wow. I think it came from San Diego. Who was that?
That was me.
Oh, yeah.
San Francisco.
San Francisco is amazed by all the details of the process that you go through for everything. I mean, it's just amazing.
Yeah, it's.
And by the way, this tastes delicious. I wish I had some shellfish to eat with it. Some fish, maybe some sushi or something.
Yeah, they have that.
Yeah, there you get a little sushi, or maybe some seared scallops, or even a little steamed lobster or something.
But it's good on its own too. It's nice. It's got a little. It's a little kind of a crazy, sort of sour, but also sweet. Hits you at once. It's really good.
Yeah, it's that. It's got a lot of citrus, in there, and then it's got some of that toasty vanillin from the new French oak. It's subtle, but it's there, and it all kind of it. The idea is to make it complex, but have everything in balance or equally weighted the different components. That's the goal.
Beautiful.
Very smooth and balanced. It's wonderful. This is my first Oregon wine, and
wow,
it's amazing.
Thank you.
You've never had Oregon Red either? No red?
No.
Wow.
No.
I'm just going to sip a little more.
Well, what's kind of interesting to, let's see, Cindy and Leslie and Prairie and maybe even Kathleen, I can't remember who's been on these wine tastings or not. But Dan, can you give us just a little Reader's Digest version of how you explained that Oregon wines don't have as much alcohol as a Californian?
Yeah, well, in general, if let's talk about Pinot Noir, since it's the thing that we're most famous for right now. Or it could also, this would also be for Chardonnay as well. But because we have a true cool climate, okay, and the reason I say that is because we are above the 45th parallel of latitude, okay, we're above that, which is halfway between the equator and the North Pole. Once you go north of that, you're considered a true cool climate. If you think about California, they're below that. They're going to line up more with the Rhone Valley in Napa versus where we're lining up more with Bordeaux and Burgundy, which are farther north. And so because of that, we get less cumulative heat during the growing season. And wine grape growing regions are classified from 1 through 5. Nothing grows in 5 because it's the warmest. So we can kind of leave that one aside. And 1 is the coolest. We are considered a region 1. And I don't want to get, too down in the weeds, but that means that we have 2,550 growing degree days on average during our growing season here, since they started keeping records in 1880, official records. So that makes us a cool climate, and because we have less heat and less light diffusion than a more southern place like Napa or Central Coast in California, or even Russian River or Sonoma, we are not going to get as much sugar development typically, and it's the sugars that convert to alcohol in the finished wine. And so those wines are going, and the other thing about that's really actually the more important aspect is that wine grapes do better when they ripen slowly. They achieve more complexity and more balance in the grape before you ever even pick it off the vine, which makes the winemaker's job easier. So all varieties of viniferous grapes or wine grapes, which are European species, do better in a cooler climate, because of that more gradual ripening, which allows the phenolic ripeness to track or keep up with the sugar development. In the warmer climates, the sugar development tends to get out ahead, and then you lose some of that complexity. And then in the winery, they try to put it back by adding some of those elements back, like the acid or the tannins back into the wine to compensate for what it loses in the vineyard. We don't normally have to do that here.
Right. Okay.
So,
cool.
Special Guest Prairie, do you have any questions for Dan?
Well, I'd like to just say I like your description of it, delicate but powerful. And that's kind of how I think about myself.
Yes. Me too.
I have to say, we're on the right train on this glass of Chardonnay.
Thank you.
Questions? Not really, other than when do I get to visit the vineyard?
Well, you have an open invitation. We're open every day, so
yeah,
come on up, and we'll give you we'll roll out the purple carpet.
Okay, great. Well, I'll make that trip. I have some friends that live in Oregon.
Awesome.
And I've been meaning to get up there at some point. I just had some knee surgery, so I haven't learned how to drive yet. I'm learning how to walk. I'm learning how to walk, but that's a whole nother story. But anyway, I'm going to get up there soon. So yeah, I'll get your contact and figure out how to take a tour.
Yeah. Love to host you.
Okay.
And we'll go all the way vine to wine and have a few laughs and drink some good wine.
And do you have a hotel there that's associated with the Utopia?
Well, we have a guest cabin actually.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Yeah, we have the Utopia log cabin.
Nice. Okay. Well,
Yeah, it'll sleep 4 adults. So
Dan, how many acres is it on, Dan?
that's on 36.5 acres. That's
Cabin
where
on
my
36.
new development is actually. I'm developing another piece of land that I purchased in 2018 where I built my new winery. And so it's just a mile away from the original vineyard and my home and our current tasting room. So it's all in Ribbon Ridge, very close together, but I'm going to plant another 15 acres there in fall of 2021.
Nice.
Excellent. So, any of the ladies have questions?
I do.
Okay.
So Dan, so this is a 2015, right?
Yes.
And my question is, aren't Chardonnays or white wines in general like ready to drink when they come out, or do these need to like sit for a while? And how long can they sit before they're bad?
That's an excellent question. Okay. So, and this comes up a lot, not just with Chardonnay, but with wines in general, right? You know, when's going to be the optimal time to drink this wine, right? So I'll give you a few clues, okay? And I'm going to assume that you're storing the wine properly, okay? Properly means that it's 55 degrees and the humidity is 70% or higher, and there's no direct light, obviously, and no vibration, hopefully, okay? We can talk about that. It doesn't have to be ideal all the time, but the thing that you really don't want is fluctuating temperatures when you're storing the wine. You want it to be constant, and it can be anywhere from 55 to 70 degrees. However, a wine that's stored at a constant warmer temperature will age more rapidly than a wine stored at a cooler constant temperature, and it will not achieve the same complexity in its aging. So just keep that in mind. So one way to know if a wine is going to cellar or if it's worthy of cellaring, if you want to just really boil it down and ask a single question to the winery, the question is, was it aged in any new French oak? And if the answer is yes, then that wine is going to improve with age.
Oh,
okay.
Wow.
One reason is that they're the most expensive barrels in the world, and you're not going to put anything in them but the very highest quality fruit. And then the tannins that you're going to get from the barrels and the added complexity are what's going to make that wine age worthy. So if you think about Burgundy, okay, or French wines, either Burgundy or Pinot Noir or Bordeaux or whatever, they can literally age for decades if they're stored properly, right? Now, it doesn't mean that you're going to like them. If you're used to drinking younger wines, drinking an older wine is a totally different experience. So I encourage you to try some. These wines, you know, I would say they're 10-year wines. Like my first vintage of Chardonnay here was the 2012. We're still drinking it now, and it's drinking great. I've obviously stored it properly. I have a big room in my house that's all wine, and we have, you know, temperature and humidity control in there, and it stays. I store mine at 60 degrees, but it's constant, and the humidity is always above 70. So so I know that it's intact, and I'm pulling out. I've been a collector for a long time, and I'm pulling out 30-year-old California cabs right now. And they're amazing. You know, 99% of the time they're amazing. Every once in a while you might get a corked wine or something where the cork deteriorated too much and oxygen got in and the wine was spoiled. But almost all of them are intact because they've been stored properly. So my wines, 10 years a good rule of thumb. After 5 to 7 years they should be fully integrated. And you should be able to enjoy them at that point without any problem. I tend to hold my wines a little bit longer than most wineries as a luxury to my club members, because I sell everything direct to consumers. And so I have a large club, and I hold the wine so that, because a lot of them don't have the ability to store them properly, I do it for them, and then I release them when they've aged some already, so they don't have to hold them too long.
Oh, wow.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What's the oldest wine you've ever drunk that was still good?
Well, the oldest one that I ever drank, and good is a relative term, but it was an amazing experience, was a 1945 Latache,
Oh, wow.
which is the most expensive wine in the world today.
Ah.
That bottle, it was a 750 milliliter bottle, and it had a retail value of $35,000.
Wow.
Whoa.
I hope you got drunk.
Well, I was fortunate in that I wasn't paying for it.
Oh, good.
But I was really enamored with Burgundy in the beginning of my wine career. I had an import-export wine business in Napa, and I had access to a lot of these wines through that and through my connections there. And I became very enamored with Burgundy, and that's what led me to the inspiration to do Utopia and like one of the small vignerons in Burgundy where I do the farming and I make the wine, and it's all part of the lifestyle, and we're farming organically and biodynamically, and we're preserving the land, and we're creating a legacy, and we're giving back to the community, and we're earning our living, and it's this kind of like what I call a Falstaff lifestyle, and that's what attracted me to the wine, to being a grape grower and a winemaker, was the opportunity to live that lifestyle.
Good for you.
Wow.
Cindy and Linda, or Cindy and Leslie. Linda, do y'all have any questions?
I have a question to see if I was right. When I lived in Sonoma County, visitors obviously would want to go wine tasting. So we've done a lot of wine tasting. And they would ask, I would pick my favorite wineries, and they would say, why do we need to go more than one winery? They all grow right next to each other. It's the same climate. Why don't they taste the same? And I said, it's the winemaker. Winemakers are like great chefs. They have the same ingredients, but what they do with them and when produces the end product. And so winemakers are everything to a winery. Is that the right answer?
Well, I'd be hard as a winemaker to disagree with that. Well, we all know that there is a science to viticulture and winemaking, and then there's also the art, and the finished product meets somewhere where those two overlap, right? I would say it a little bit differently. I don't think that's wrong what you said. But in the wine world, it's important as a consumer to know that 85% of the wineries do not own the land where their grapes come from. Okay. So in the wine world and in North America, the term estate has a legal definition. It means that the winery, has 100% control of the wine from the vine to the wine, and that it is continuous and contiguous. That is the actual legal definition of an estate wine. So you want to know that as a consumer. But that said, as an estate winemaker, I put a lot of emphasis on the site and the vineyard itself. And a lot of winemakers will tell you that it all begins in the vineyard. It obviously doesn't end in the vineyard, but it all begins in the vineyard. So you're farming, and the way that you're farming, like organically and biodynamically, like we do, we're not using any chemical herbicides, pesticides, fungicides, or insecticides. Everything we do are natural compounds, and it's all mainly done by hand. Okay. And so that's going to get you better fruit at the end. The site was selected very carefully for its physical characteristics. Obviously, the climate drives what we plant, but elevation, orientation, topography, annual rainfall, all of those things go into the site, which goes into the grapes, which goes into the wine. The winemaker is also very important, obviously, and winemaking boils down to making literally hundreds of decisions on the fly without knowing the results for 2 years. Other than that, it's a walk in the park.
Wow.
So I mean,
Now you know the
the
answer.
best fruit generally makes the best wine, but the winemaker is the one who's going to shepherd it through, make sure that it's safe, and get everything out of those grapes. You can make bad wine from good grapes, but you can't make a silk purse from a sow's ear.
I have a question. I have a question about acidity. I sort of avoid like
I need more wine for this one.
I avoid super acidic food and like spice stuff. And so I did some research on acidity of wines, and I really never found a definitive answer as to which, like red or white, is more acidic in general. But I did decide that red seems to be a little smoother than white wine as far as acidity. Is that true?
So, is your hypothesis then that red wines are lower in acidity than white wines?
No, because I think when I did my research, that's what was so confusing, because like the stats don't suggest that, but just in terms of how it feels when it goes into my like finicky stomach, it's like my gut tells me that wine is more acidic.
Yeah, So white wine is more acidic than red wine. Okay, you're typically red wine, say like a Pinot Noir or a Bordeaux variety or something like that. The most prevalent acid in wine is called tartaric acid. Okay, and then there's malic and there's citric and there's a couple other little ones. But the main one is tartaric and malic. The main two are tartaric and malic. You're going to have, we have one of the things that we measure both in the must and in the wine during the wine making is titratable acidity, okay, which is sort of like total acidity, but it doesn't include the acids that are already bound with other compounds. It's the acids that are free in the solution, okay? And the amount of titratable acidity in white wines is going to be about 7 grams to 10 grams per liter. And in a red wine, it's going to be around 5 to 7 grams per liter. So you're going to have more acid, more acidity in a white wine. There can always be corner cases or whatever, but in general, you definitely have more acidity. And part of what determines that is white wines, they grow in cooler climates, most of them, like Chardonnay, for example, when it achieves its greatness, is grown in a cooler climate. And in a cooler climate, you preserve more of the natural acid. Acidulation is something that is done regularly in winemaking. So the winemaker can see how much acid is there, and then we do additions if we feel the wine or the must is deficient. But yeah, to answer your question, there's more acid in white wines. What you could be, experiencing is the amount of acid in the wine affects the way the tannins, the sharpness of the tannins. So the different compounds, the different chemical compounds in wine affect each other in the way the wine tastes. And the acid a higher acid wine can also make the tannins taste sharper.
Got it.
And that would be in a red wine, of course.
Can I interject right here?
Yeah.
So I've been drinking this very acidic white wine, and I would really like to try the red wine, even though we're not talking about the red wine. Is that okay with anybody?
Yeah, absolutely.
Go for it.
Because I want to try some non-acidic or low acidic.
So Dan,
Which red wine do you have there?
The 2017 Ribbon Ridge Estate.
I have the Pinot Noir.
2017.
Which vintage?
It was good.
2017.
No, 15.
The 17. Okay, yeah, that's going to be
no,
fairly
it's
acid
15.
driven right now.
Oh, I stepped it up. My bad.
Which one?
Okay, yeah. 205.
15.
2015.
2015?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's real drinking really nice right now.
Okay, I'm gonna have a glass of that.
Yeah,
Side
try
by
that.
side.
It's a more balanced kind of. I say it's a more elegant style of Pinot Noir.
He's going to do the Coca-Cola challenge.
One of the things
That's why
about
you put 2 glasses.
our Pinots is they are a reflection of their growing season. The weather varies significantly each year, and the way the heat accumulates varies each year, and so that gives us a unique wine each year.
Yeah, this is our first 2015 that we've had on the series.
Oh, that's delicious.
Ooh,
Thank you.
awesome.
So good.
I can drink a whole bottle of that, no problem.
Me too.
Yeah.
He's a red wine drinker, but he was nice enough to accommodate us on this one. Thank you, Prairie. You're a good man.
No, I mean, I love the Chardonnay too. It's great, but it's kind of giving me a little upset stomach. Just kidding. Just kidding. That was her fault.
Yeah, way to go, Kathleen.
Well,
You can
as
see my
one
friend back here. Dude.
as a professional wine drinker, I would advise you to never drink on an empty stomach.
No, I just had lunch.
Good, that's perfect.
Well, about 3 hours ago.
Yeah, you got food in your stomach.
Dan,
I know I should having some wine and cheese, some cheese and crackers or
yes, you should have
something.
a
Right?
cheese platter, sure.
Yes,
Yeah,
good to have
absolutely.
cheese and crackers.
That's how we eat all the time.
Don't have it. Don't have it right now, but I'll get some.
Listen, I tried to eat cheese and crackers last time, and it was crunching too much in this.
Charcuterie boards.
Just do the cheese.
Yeah, do the cheese. There you go.
Okay, so anybody that's taking notes, we need to send DoorDash to Prairie's house. We're going to send some sushi,
Yes.
some cheese and crackers. What else would
Fruit,
you
a
like?
fruit basket with some cheese and sausage.
Okay.
There you go.
Well,
So
one of the things we're working on right now is what we're going to call virtual visit because of the current situation in the world. We've been doing a lot more virtual stuff, and so we're going to package up 3 Pinots, and we're going to send you the spreads, the tapenades, and the jellies and stuff, and give you a list of cheeses to enjoy them with our wines. And then anybody who buys that, we're going to then do a Zoom meeting and taste and go through the different wines together with the different cheeses.
Oh, that sounds great.
That's wonderful. Is that on your website?
Not yet. We're working on it right now. It'll be announced
That's
soon.
awesome.
Okay, I'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah,
There you
we're
go.
really excited about it.
I would love that. The winery up the road from me, Temecula, Wilson Creek, is doing that as well.
Yeah.
It's very popular.
Gotta
I'm
do
glad
it. You
you're
have to
doing
do it.
too.
Yeah.
I look forward to that, so I can order it before your show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just
The
like you did.
Tubes played at that winery. The Tubes did a gig at Temecula Winery.
No way!
Yeah, it was about 3 years
Tell
ago.
me that now.
It was about 3 years ago. And it was beautiful out there.
Tubes
Yeah.
can come to Utopia.
There you go.
That's right. There you go.
I live
fun.
not far from there.
Rundgren
We're
Radio
not-
Party with the Tubes.
We're not cheap. We're not cheap, but we'll do it for wine and cheese.
There you
Oh,
go.
remember that. I've got a couple acres. Will you come play if I give you wine and cheese?
Yeah, well, maybe. Temecula wine, I don't know.
What a bargain.
That'll be
Sounds
fun.
like a dream.
That's a bargain.
We do, Prairie. That's what we do want to have, which kind of got this thing going is we wanted to have a party at Utopia Winery, but obviously we can't right now. So we figured we'd do it online. So here we are. But we'd love to do a concert or something up there. He's got a great piece of property over there, no
Yeah,
doubt.
sounds great.
So, but
That
Dan, go
would
back.
be wonderful.
Wouldn't that be fun?
So
This
cool.
Chardonnay, I want to say one thing about this Chardonnay. Is that,
Absolutely.
I have not tasted what I would call anything buttery whatsoever about this Chardonnay.
Right.
No.
I mean, it's Chardonnay. Clearly, I could taste Chardonnay, but it doesn't. It has none of that, which I don't like buttery. So to me, it's.
I agree.
I do too.
What does that
Yeah.
mean? What does that mean, buttery? I don't get it.
It's a specific chemical compound called diacetyl in white wines. It comes from malolactic fermentation, which is also known as secondary or barrel fermentation, when you're converting the malic acid in the wine, which is natural in the grapes, to lactic acid, which is the same acid in milk. And that's what gives all wine its creaminess. But in a lot of the California Chardonnays, it's overblown because they have the really ripe fruit they start with. They've depleted a lot of the acid, which tends to cut through the butteriness because of the higher temperatures and more heat. They've depleted a lot of the acid in the grapes, so it's lower acid, and then you do full malolactic fermentation, and instead of a creaminess, you get this buttery flavor. It's literally like movie popcorn butter. And it's very viscous. It goes with that style. And then in order to try to make that balance with the oak, they put in a lot of oak, so you get this really buttery, oaky mess, basically.
Okay. Yeah, so I've heard about viscous and oily. Yeah, viscous.
People like it. People like it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's nothing. I mean, if you like it, the golden rule is if you like it, it's great.
I love
there's
butter.
no,
love
there's nothing wrong with liking it.
Not butter, buttery flavor.
I mean, I used to drink those.
I can't believe it's not butter.
I used to drink those wines. The Rundgren was the classic one, but over time, hopefully your palate gets a little more sophisticated.
Yeah. Rundgren. Have you tried their Sauvignon Blanc that they came out with a couple years ago or so? Rundgren.
I love Rundgren.
I have not. No.
No, you have not. Okay, yeah, it's pretty. Yeah. All right, good stuff. Well, anybody else have any questions for Dan before we move on to our little partay? Linda?
Dan, how do you price? I want to know how you price wines.
Oh, that's a good question. A lot of good questions, actually, you guys have had. Cost would be one factor, like in anything, right? It's expensive to farm organically and do small production lots like this. I only make a few hundred cases of the Chardonnay each year. My biggest production is like 355 cases, so very, very tiny in the wine world, and so that increases the cost. We have to use a lot of new French oak with these, which are the most expensive barrels, so our production costs are higher than average, a part of it is whatever the market will bear, obviously, what similar quality wines are charging and from the same region. So there's a lot of factors that go into the pricing of the bottle. I consider my wines, they're not inexpensive, but if you do a comparison of other estate wines from any of the sub-AVAs of the Willamette Valley, I think for the quality they compare very favorably.
Good answer.
Yeah.
There you go.
Awesome.
Best I can do.
I just don't know how that. Yeah, it's like.
Yeah,
it's $16.99 is close to $45. It's
well,
or,
yeah,
or $35,000.
European wines, or even like South American or Australian, or not Australian so much anymore. They used to be good values, but now they're very expensive wines too, for the most part. But there's certain like French wines, for example, or Italian wines that come over here, or even Spanish wines, some of them that come over here, or Argentinian Malbec, things that are pretty darn good, right? If you find the right producers, and they are relatively inexpensive. And a lot of the reason is that in Europe, those lands have been owned for centuries. They don't have the same kind of cost like we do over here, where we're still paying for the land, the production costs, and the farming and everything. So that's one reason.
Gotcha.
So Dan, I have a question. You mentioned that you really love Burgundy.
Yes.
Back in early 80s, we did a European excursion and we spent some time in Burgundy country. And we did a tasting at the Chateau Pommard. And have you been there?
Yes, I have.
It's amazing, right?
Yeah, totally amazing.
After that tasting, I was like on a French wine bender for a while, but it wasn't sustainable after a while.
Yeah.
But
I know.
Delicious. I loved it.
Yeah. Pommard is a region in Burgundy, and it's also a clone, and it's one of the very, very important standalone clones, meaning that it's good enough to be bottled on its own. In fact, many of the Grand Cru class Burgundies are made from Pommard. And it's my favorite clone, and I have 3 different plantings of Pommard on this site.
Oh, wow.
There you go, Kathleen.
That's cool.
And I make 100% Pommard Reserve that I only make 2 barrels of each year, and it's called Utopia Eden.
Oh, that's the one that
That's the one you almost ordered, Kathleen.
I have to get a bottle of that.
I do too.
Yeah, Kathleen almost ordered that one, I remember.
It's 100% Pommard. It's 100% whole cluster fermented, which is the old world way. Most of modern wines are made with destemmed fruit. This is where we leave the stems in the fermentation, like the old world. And then it's 100% new French oak aged. And like I said, it's only 2 barrels each year.
Wow.
I'm getting some.
I am too.
Okay, so Leslie, Mary, do you have anything before we move on?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if your vineyard has ever suffered some type of catastrophic weather event that affected your yield, or what the weather is like.
No, not catastrophic, but we have a saying in farming, and it's every year we lose something from something. So every year it's different. But yeah, 2020 was the lowest yield that I've ever had. We were down 40% across the board in all the blocks. And that was because we had a very poor fruit set in late spring and June. Because of global weirding, as I like to call it, we had a warm, dry spring for the most part. And then in June, when we have our flowering, it got cold and wet. And those were the worst. That's the worst thing that could happen during flower. I mean, hail or something like that would be more catastrophic. But that it ended up meaning that our fruit set was not good. And once the fruit sets, that's it. You're not going to get any more fruit. Oh. So that resulted in low yields. But that's kind of, it's not that unusual. Like next year, the vines will probably bounce back and I'll have a larger yield, like bigger than average because of
Just
that.
like the whole world.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
COVID year,
Exactly.
2020.
It's been a brutal year, man.
Yeah. Yeah. We're not gonna really be that sad to see 2020 go.
Right.
I hope people aren't afraid about 2021.
Now the good news was the fruit quality was exceptional.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
And I'm very happy with the wines, but I'm shocked every day in the winery. I'm shocked at how low the yields were.
Wow.
22 more days till it's over.
Thank God.
By
You're going to have to
2021,
name
keep it
your
bottled
wine
up
something
forever.
really cool.
Happy New Year.
Well, till
Yeah,
2020
Happy
is
New
over,
Year.
not it's over.
Some good names.
Well, these have been really good questions you guys have had. They're all really good questions. I can tell you guys gave them some thought and that you are experienced wine drinkers. So thank you for all those questions.
I'd just like to say,
Thank you.
I'd like to say that the answers were way above my head, and I wish I could go back and
You're going to be able to.
Can I just watch this show over
Yes,
and
sure,
over
you
until
can.
Yeah, just come and hang out. Just come up here and hang out, and we'll get it through osmosis.
because I should have been taking notes on a lot of this stuff, and I didn't
It'll
have
be
a
on
pen.
YouTube for
No,
you, Prairie. You can watch
Just
it
text
anytime you
me.
like.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, Dan, we appreciate it. I know you got to get back to work. It's late for you. We appreciate you doing one late for us.
Thank you very much.
That's all, guys. I really enjoyed it.
Really good.
Thank you, Dan.
Cheers,
Good.
and
See you, bye.
Cheers.
All right, everybody. Cheers. How about that? That was fun.
Yeah.
It was
I
fun.
love Dan.
Cheers.
That was great.
Great, isn't he?
I love Dan too.
So,
Dan is
Want it?
great.
yeah, wine education's over, so now it's time to do a little wine.
Now it's
He should
party
have his own
Lean
TV
back.
show.
Yeah.
Dan is great.
We've got 5 different. Now we got 6 because you added one tonight. We have 5 different wine tastings, 4-part series. But I forgot I sent you the 15 instead of the 17, which is.
Is it really exceptional, Prairie?
It should be much better because it's a couple years older. Probably.
Well, yeah, that's what they say, but
yeah, they
who
say.
knows?
Pinots. They
It
say,
tastes great.
according to Dan, like 5 years is the perfect time when you start opening. So that one's 5 years old. So hopefully it was
Yeah.
delicious.
Yeah, it's very good. I would like a steak with it. But
There you go.
I would like a steak
All right.
too.
Mel, add that to the mash. We got
Calling
some Prairie
DoorDash.
sushi.
Calling DoorDash.
I'm gonna have some.
And a steak. What else do you need? You know?
Medium rare.
Yeah.
Cheers. Cheers.
All right. So Prairie, this is the part where we get into our guests. We get into a little bit of wine stories. So we would we'll start with you if you don't mind. We'd like to know, like, are you a big wine drinker? Have you been, is that your thing? How long you been drinking wine?
I gotta say that I really do love. I do love wine with food. I don't just drink wine and go, smell the thing and try all the different kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a wine connoisseur, but I do know the wine that I like and that I don't like.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had the greatest variety of wines over my 57 years of drinking wine, but I do really like a well body. I wrote down some terms here. Let me see if I can see it. I like the flamboyant wines. The ones that are complex and earthy and elegant, with a hint of opulence and silky, steely, structured. I don't like the tight wines because they're not ready yet. So anyway, velvety. I like velvety.
It sounds like you're describing yourself. Prairie.
I like black.
Yeah, that sounds like you.
I like black velvet.
Velvety.
And here's my tiki lounge right here.
Dick Dale.
Oh my God.
So this is my lounge, my tiki lounge that I'm
That
in.
is
Oh, I love
amazing.
Dick Dale. There you go, Cruiser Mel, Dallas.
Yeah, I love Dick Dale.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Nice.
Ooh.
Oh, it's so cozy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the outside looks like this.
Oh.
Nice.
And that
Very nice.
table pulls up, right? Isn't
That's
that the
the
table
bar,
that pulls
yeah.
up?
Yeah, pulls
Yeah,
out.
that's
Yeah,
the
that's
bar.
the bar.
Yeah.
That's very nice.
So this is where I like to drink, more like tiki drinks and rum drinks and stuff like that, which I've probably enjoy maybe a little more than wine, but I do love wine. And I don't have a whole lot of wine stories other than I have been to Côte de Rhône. I've been around the wine region in France, driving around with my sister a few times. We did have an experience one time in Tuscany. Our friends had a vineyard there, and they invited us over to taste their wine and to have lunch and stuff. And it was this beautiful, beautiful old estate, kind of a beautiful old house in Italy. And they had a little tractor. We all got on the tractor and took a ride up the hill through sort of alongside the vineyard. And all of a sudden we saw a wild boar, a mother boar, dart out across the thing, and the dogs took out after it and killed it right in front of it.
Wow.
So it gave me a bad taste of wine. It's like one of those old world stories you hear about. But we did love their wine. They had a good wine.
Good.
But we didn't eat the boar. We didn't cook it. Yeah.
Well, that was probably in the truffle region, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I think so. It was.
Yeah.
It was kind of near Siena, maybe, and
Yeah.
Tuscany, and it was beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, Italy's fantastic. So Prairie, maybe we'll get a tequila grower. Yeah.
I think we should have a tequila show. That would be good.
We'll definitely do.
We can go. We can film it from Mexico.
Yes.
We can all go down to Mexico and try some different samples.
Go to Mexico.
I love the idea.
Yeah.
Agave tequila. All right, very good. So, all right, well, let's Cindy,
Well,
what's your wine story? You a wine drinker?
Oh my God. Do we have enough time?
Sure.
Well, I was born in Marin, and if you know Marin, it's right across the bridge from San Francisco, and it's so idyllic. It was beautiful. I had a great childhood, but to make the story shorter, we fell on hard times after my dad died, so my mom had to sell everything, and we had to move to Sonoma County, which was like being exiled to Siberia.
Oh my God.
And the whole drive, the hour drive from Marin to Sonoma, I was screaming bloody murder that she ruined my life, that it would never be the same.
Oh no.
And because it was just farm countries, there was just cows everywhere. And there was no nightlife, there was nothing. So I was just turning 13, so I was very distraught.
Nightlife at 13. What kind of nightlife did you have at 13? I'm just curious.
But
Don't tell me you started drinking wine at 13. You're worse than me.
Yeah.
But once I could drive and work and started growing my network of friends, I realized that half of my friends' parents were vineyard owners or growers. So I became immersed in wine growing, basically. Partying was at actually the wine tasting rooms after hours, right? When the parents went to bed, we all, went into the wine tasting room and had everything at our disposal.
Oh my word.
So I was able to try a lot of different wines, and really it was probably better for me now that I look back on it. It was a beautiful place to grow up, and everyone is just wonderful there. I do love Sonoma County vineyards more than the Napa County vibe. It's just more laid back, and I do like the wines a little better, but I'll tell you that this Oregon wine is beautiful, and I am going to place another order with
It's
Dan.
more similar to Sonoma than Napa, but without a doubt, it's more spread out. You have to find the places, and there's a lot of small family-owned vineyard type situations. So, did you ever apologize to your mom? Say, I'm sorry for crying that you made me move to Sonoma.
No, I never apologized. But my sister-in-law then got the role of Melissa on Falcon Crest, which was filmed in Napa County. So then I had wine. There was wine coming out of. There was so much wine everywhere that then I started trying the Napa Valley wines. But you're right, the Sonoma wine I think will just always be, my favorite. But Dan's wine is really good.
You're gonna love going to Oregon.
And he's so I've watched all of your series, and he's just so patient, and he describes the process really, really well.
Yeah. I think he really got it going on. He knows what he's doing, and he's a chemist.
Kind of like Prairie on drums and Kathleen on bass.
Yes.
Kathleen, play some bass for us.
Oh,
yeah.
See if we get your gauge right quick.
I've been working on a Donald Fagen tune.
I don't want to hear that.
Really but it's tricky, it's like a lot of ghost notes, and I'm trying to get my technique polished. So it's been tricky.
Did you say ghost notes?
Ghost notes, yeah.
I know what that is.
It's a dead note.
Okay, all right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, tell us your wine story, Kathleen.
Fingering,
I know you're a Merlot drinker. What else you got for us for your wine story?
Oh, for wine story. Well, wine has always been my drink of choice from way back in high school, from Boone's Farm, Strawberry Hill. Remember that one?
That was mine too.
And then I graduated to Almaden and Mouton Cadet. My sister Sharon reminded me that when I first came home from college, for Thanksgiving, and I brought a bottle of Almaden. She said she'll never forget that. I was so cool that I was just so she and a wine snob. And so then during college, I got a little more interested in wine and pairing it with food, because I got into cooking at that time. And then I went to France and went to Pommard and studied in Switzerland for a summer and drank a lot of Italian wine, and that was amazing. So really, it's been a progression. But when it comes down to it, the day-to-day wines are I spend, $20 for, but there's so many good wines for $20 these days, But for special occasions, I love Rombauer, and I love several of the Sonoma wineries. Prairie Carano, I love, and
What Rombauer do you drink? What, their Zinfandel, or what do you have?
Chardonnay.
Their Chardonnay.
The Rombauer Chardonnay is just incredible. It's so good. But yeah, I love all kinds of wines. And
what do you think about today's wine?
I like it a lot. But it's weird because when I first tasted it, it was right out of the fridge. And I think it was too cold. It kind of shocked me. It was like it tasted really weird, like by itself and really cold.
What I said.
And after like about 20 minutes, it tasted much better.
Dan has said consistently on the show that.
What, Doug?
So Dan has said consistently on the show that we drink whites too cold. Other than rosé, he said keep it as cold as you want, but these you need to kind of bring them down, bring them up a notch. Actually, not so cold.
Definitely.
What's your question, Linda?
Is anybody feeling the citrusness in the back of your glands? I mean, I am, and I don't know if it's just me or everybody.
Feeling what?
The citrusness in your glands.
Citrus.
I don't know how.
Let me test that.
I'll have to try that again.
Well, that's just what they were talking about. All these guys need a little wine and cheese and crackers.
Cheese.
Like, really hitting me back in my glandular area.
I don't know. Maybe so.
Okay.
So
you can come right here and not.
Leslie, you ready for your story? Leslie, you got a wine story?
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right.
Not much of a story. Not much of it.
You like wine?
I tend to gravitate towards the Pinot Noir in the winter and the Chard or a Sauvignon Blanc in the summer, but I'm mainly kind of a beer drinker.
Okay.
I drink wine with food out to dinner, so.
Gotcha.
But you like craft beers, though. You like the specialty craft beer, right?
I do. Yeah, I do.
Which one is your favorite? Like Dogfish around the corner from me?
Oh, the craft beer. I'm really fortunate that I've got like a world-renowned craft brewery right near me, and they had 3 of their craft beers in the top 10 in the world for a while. Yeah, they've got very good beer. So
Mel, we got to do a tequila show with Prairie and a craft beer show with Leslie Mary.
Okay.
I'll do the beer one too.
And Kevin Mack. Kevin Mack should be on that show.
yes, Kevin. Yeah, Kevin and I, we compare we share beers, and we get together at the concerts and bring each other beer. And yeah, he's brewing his own now. Kevin is.
Who is?
Yeah, Kevin Mack.
Yep, he's brewing his own.
Kevin who?
Kevin Mock.
Oh, Kevin Mock. Okay. I was going to say, Kevin Wall likes Jameson. Okay, Kevin Mock. I got you.
How come it's so hard to get Utopia beer?
It's $450 a bottle, something
Exactly.
like that.
But even if you try to find it, you can't.
Prairie.
Why?
We're very excited about the Clearly Human tour.
How are your knees?
Yes.
Oh, we got him. He's muted. Hang on, Prairie. You're muted for some reason. All right. Prairie.
Share
We're very
details.
excited about the Clearly Human tour.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know anything why I call it clearly, other than it's a clear way to get sick. No, we're not going to get sick. We're going to be safe. I think that Chicago has some restrictions that will be advantageous to all of us.
Sure.
And we'll I think the hardest part is going to be when we first all get there, and then how we're supposed to rehearse in a indoor situation and stuff like that. But I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'm just learning the songs right now.
That's so cool. I can't wait.
You did the
what was that?
You did the Dystopia video with a mask on, so maybe
I did. No, we're going to keep masks on for sure, and we're going to do the best we can to stay as far apart. I mean, I'm the drummer, so I'm way in the back, so that'll be all right.
Yeah, but you could spontaneously combust.
I could.
All those spit
I
goes
drink
back.
too much of this Utopia wine. That's gonna be.
So have you missed though? I mean, have you missed being out on the road, or are you loving it that you don't have to
I've
travel?
actually really enjoyed not doing that, but I mean, of course I miss it. But it's been really nice just to be at home and cook my own food and also, I mean, it's been a trying time for all of us for work and stuff like that. But I actually took this time made it to my advantage, and I took the time and the opportunity to get some knee surgery. So I've been able to recuperate just in time. I'll be back in action just in time for this Clearly Human tour, which is not really a tour. It's just going to be a hold up at like a nightclub residency. Yeah.
Did you get both knees done at the same time?
I did.
Whoa.
Well, because I didn't know how long it was going to take to recuperate, so I figured I would just get all the recuperation done at once.
That's the best
Are
way.
you in the physical therapy part? You're like.
What's that?
Are you at the physical therapy part yet?
I am working hard on the physical therapy for sure. Yeah, every day. I'm doing it every day, and I'm going to do it probably even when I get to Chicago. There's a nice gym at the apartment building we're going to stay at, so I'm going to keep up my physical therapy as well as drumming every night. So.
Are you doing a lot of art? Are you drawing?
I've been doing some painting. Yeah, I've been doing. So I kind of hooked up a little studio in my garage with my gymnasium and my art studio.
So are you walking? Are you walking like without help?
I am. I'm walking, no support. Walking. On the third day of my of bicycling, actually going on a real bicycle.
Wow.
So the knees are working good. It's just there's still a lot of work still left to do.
Yeah.
Well, the good thing about knees and knee surgeries and whatnot is walking is going to be your best friend. It really is.
I know, and I'm going to get to go to that castle in Tuscany and look for that wine. Because walking on the hills and these old cobblestone streets that I love to do in Italy and Greece, and haven't been to Greece yet, but that's the next one. I'll be able to do now with my new knees, so I'm so happy. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're gonna love life. Life change. Yeah. It's gonna change. It's awesome. Yeah.
So as part of your therapy, like sitting down with your drum pedals and cymbal pedals and whatever, and bam, 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 and
it is. Yeah, I got my drum set up in my living room, and I just go and work out every day. I've been playing along to Nearly Human, and trying to get that tour in shape. I don't want to hear Todd saying, "How come you didn't practice those songs?" I said, "Well, I didn't I'm not going to hear that."
What's challenging, Prairie? What's the most challenging song for you on the Nearly Human album?
I guess, like Unloved Children is pretty intense. It's just the intensity. Challenging structurally wise or composition wise would probably be Hawking.
Yeah, I was going to say Hawking.
But I've played that with him over time. The last bunch of years, we've pulled that song out, and so I actually know how to play that song. But it was a challenge to learn that one for sure, because I didn't play on it originally.
I don't want you to give away anything that you're not supposed to.
Me?
But yeah, you.
Hey, I like that backdrop that you got behind you there, Doug.
That's cool, Doug.
It's this giant bottle of wine. It goes up 20 feet.
No, do you see that that backdrop? The backdrop that Doug has behind him right now.
Tubes.
Oh, that one.
Yeah, the tubes one. Yeah.
So that was a backdrop.
Artwork.
That was a backdrop that I did for a tour. Probably, I don't know, maybe it was in 2011 or 12 or something like that. And our friend Grady Oates.
Grady.
He bought that for me.
Oh, did he really?
He has the real backdrop in his house.
I should have asked him for permission to use it.
No, it's okay. You got my permission.
I got it. I plucked it from your website. It's
I'm glad
great stuff.
I'm glad you were able to avoid that question I was about to ask. But
what was it?
I have on a vintage T-shirt. We'll go ahead and move on. I have on a vintage T-shirt.
Nice.
You designed this, yeah? Oh no, we lost him.
Oh
Ugh. He apparently didn't want to answer my questions.
He didn't want to talk about the new cars.
no!
Even though I love that tour.
I love this shirt.
I love the tour.
Yeah, I did too. That was
This
a
poor
great
shirt is
tour.
about to fall apart the next time I wash it.
I wore my check shirt because of Prairie because I want to. I'm taking it back. I want to be the check guy, not Prairie. He had a cool picture. I don't know if y'all saw that on Facebook. A photo he had with the check pants and all that. It was really cool.
That was cool. I saw that.
Yeah. What's Linda showing off? Linda's going.
Tree.
Oh, the
Drumhead by Prairie.
She wants to bang on the drum all day. Okay, there, Prairie did that. Very good.
What that is.
I don't know. Whatever. Okay, so what did y'all think about this?
No.
Yes.
Now we can.
What did y'all think about
Were
the
you
wine?
banging on the drum all day?
This is one of Prairie's drum heads that I do to Todd East. And he helped me do this. He helped me make it.
Oh, you painted it, but he helped you.
He helped me draw it, and then I embellished it and whatever.
Nice.
But it's a drum head.
Yep.
Good stuff. All right, so we got everybody's wine story.
Yeah.
We got to talk to Prairie. We got to taste some really good wine. I'm really like Oregon Chardonnay's better than California, I will say.
Really?
I do too.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's delicious.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Never thought I'd say that,
I
but
agree.
Yeah, Sonoma's got there's some good Chardonnays over there too. Stone
there
Street.
are.
Yeah. But
Well,
this
I'll
is
tell
really
you
good.
Doug's wine was
Chardonnay grapes is what's used to make champagne.
What's that?
Really?
Chardonnay
Grapes.
grapes is what is used
Oh,
to make
okay.
champagne. I don't know if anybody likes champagne, but
I do.
I
Sure.
do.
I like champagne. So I'm going to go ahead and say it for I'll take the blame. We had so many tastings and shows, but Kathleen originally wanted to order the Eden.
I did.
We should let you had a solo show with Kathleen and Eden wine.
Well, let's do another
Let's do
one.
an Eden show.
We'll do Eden.
Okay.
I'm buying it.
I'm gonna buy that too. I want to try that.
Definitely.
If you can get it, there's only a few of them, right? And two
Oh,
Right.
he's got enough for a handful of people.
Mm-hmm. All right, good
Hey,
stuff.
we're-
I
Ladies,
guess we should check out the prices first.
Yeah. But it's the holidays.
I can do it.
barrel's just not cheap. We already know that for sure.
I don't think I can do it. It's probably too
Yes.
much for me.
The Riesling
Right
came in
now.
a really small bottle.
It did?
Oh yeah, the harvest. Oh yeah, we were going to do that with
Look
Dan.
at this one. This
Yeah.
one, it's just so, it's really pretty, but it's small.
It's a harvest Riesling. It's early, so it's going to be really sweet.
Oh.
It's a dessert
It's
one.
late harvest.
Yeah.
I've been really good because I've had this for like a month and I haven't gotten into anything
You
till
forgot
tonight.
to tell me.
So
We could have had Dan come try it with us.
Yeah. You could get a piece of cheesecake or some chocolate or whatever. Riesling with it. Oh, man. Hey, we
Definitely.
might have to do it again.
Let me see if I can text him if we can get him to come back in.
Hey, well, it might be close to dinner. I don't know.
It's dinner time.
I think you need to
What
have
time is it?
several more shows because they're really good.
Yeah, yeah.
Have
We're
a
gonna
few
do
more shows.
rosé, too. I would like to do rosé. We could do maybe a rosé Riesling or some like weird chill.
He
We got the
does. Dan,
rosés. A bunch of people have
Yeah.
rosés. So I do too.
Rosé.
So, Cindy, are you willing to open that harvest if he comes back?
Well, I've done a pretty good job of this one, so you know what happens after.
You need to go get some chocolate or something. Let's see if I hear back from him. He's probably gone, but that would be fun. So those little small bottles, they're like Sauternes and other really sweet dessert wines, and I bet that's really good. But if you like sweet, it's going to be really sweet.
I bet it's going to be really good. I think I'll save it for Christmas.
But the rosé, a bunch of us have the rosé. We could do that.
Yeah.
Eating show. If we can do
I have the rosé.
We should do like a food pairing with it.
Yeah. Well, technically, and I don't know if I'll edit this out or not. So, hey, everybody. Oh, here comes somebody. That's Dan. Okay, great. All right. You're going to have to open it, Cindy. And it's back. We forgot the Harvest Riesling.
What about it?
We forgot. Cindy's got one. We got to try it. She does.
She needs to go get a clean glass and open it.
Yes.
We want to hear about that because I was telling him, I may be wrong, but I'm telling him, so this is going to be really sweet. It's like a Sauterne type deal. It's a dessert wine, right? Or am I wrong?
Yeah, fruity.
Okay, cool. So where'd she go? She's
opening it.
Okay. Very good.
She needs to make a
This will be like our 6th or 7th one. Yeah.
It's a party night here.
Mm-hmm.
We've moved already to dessert. And
I will have to say that this is the most beautiful bottle I've ever seen.
Thank you. It makes a nice vase when you're done with it.
So why are wines like that? Why are those like port and these things over there? Why are they smaller bottles?
Okay, so dessert wines are made in two primary ways. One is called botryticized, and the other one is ice wine. Okay. This is an ice wine. Before I tell you about that, which you probably know, that means the grapes freeze on the vine, and then we press the frozen grapes.
No, I never knew that.
Yes. Botryticized, Botrytis cinerea, is also known as noble rot. Okay. And it is literally a fungus that grows on the grapes late in the growing season if we don't pick the fruit. And it's a bacteria. It's a white bacteria. It's like a fuzzy white bacteria that forms on the surface of the grape. And it pierces the skin of the grape, and it extracts the water content, which is about 70 to 80% of the volume of the berry. And it leaves the concentrated sugars. And then they harvest it that way, and they sort out the rotten pieces, and then they press that to make a dessert wine. And if you're in your wine, favorite wine shop or whatever, and you're looking in the dessert wine section, if you look closely on the label, you will see the word botryticized. And then you know that's how that wine was made. If it's an ice vine, which is the German wine, which come from more northern climates, that means that it froze on the vine, and it actually will freeze and thaw and freeze and thaw and freeze several times. The fruit gets very damaged, but it does this. It has the same effect of locking up the moisture, so that when the grapes are pressed, you get mostly the concentrated sugars and acids. And that's how we make dessert wine. Now, since I'm in Oregon, where it doesn't get cold enough to freeze on the vine prior to harvest, I harvest the intact grapes, and then I put them in cold storage to freeze them. And then we once they're frozen, we call them marbles, and then we press the marbles. And the water doesn't come out because it's in the form of ice, and so just the concentrated sugars come out.
Wow.
And it's a totally different process. It takes me about 2 days to press that fruit. And I'm on a 90-minute press cycle, so I have to literally camp out at the press in order to make that wine. So I only make it every few years in small quantities.
And Cindy, you're a big are you a dessert wine person, or are you a big Riesling port type? What did you were telling me you were?
I love port and I love Riesling.
Ooh, I made
I also love Gewürztraminer.
Yeah, that's another German variety that can be made sweet or dry.
Wow, you should just smell it.
Yeah, it's delicious. And then to answer your question about the bottle size, the reason it's bottled in a smaller bottle is because when we make the wine that way, we lose a lot of the volume. So we get tiny amounts, and so we bottle in these little bottles.
Makes perfect sense now. Okay, I'm gonna go for it.
All right.
Oh my God. Wow. I have never tasted anything like that before.
It looks like a different color.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
What
Like, look
color
at
is
the color. I don't know if you could see the color.
Looks
So
great.
that's
I don't know if you
that's
can see
a
the amber color.
2016 vintage. So it's had some time in the bottle. And so white wines are going to get darker as they age, whereas red wines will get lighter.
It tastes like honey.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, if you don't
It's
like that wine, I
crazy.
don't know what to tell you.
This is amazing. This is like the best Riesling I've ever had. But then this is
I
like
didn't
one of
order
the best Chardonnays I've ever had. Wow, you're awesome.
We got a
Thank you.
customer
Harvest
here
Region.
for you, Dan.
Thank you.
Man.
Well,
This
we're
is
not cutting any
amazing.
corners.
Thank you for coming back on and telling us about this. I had
You're
no
welcome.
idea.
So Dan,
Yeah.
did I hear you start to say that you have started a port?
I made a port in 2018. It's aging right now in neutral French oak. It's been in the corner for 2 years, and I got the glass to bottle it, but it's not ready yet. So I'm going to leave it for at least another year.
One of my favorite ports.
I
I've
need
had.
to put that on my
Oregon.
calendar. When do you think it'll be ready?
I don't know. I mean, it has to oxidize a bit to get that tawny nuttiness that I want.
Tawny port. I love tawny port. And
So
Yeah.
maybe December 2021?
Maybe. Yeah.
that'd be great.
Or it might be a 2022 year one, which
It
is my
could be
favorite number,
2025. I mean,
2022.
it just has to taste right.
Gotta age.
I'm not going to bottle it till I like it.
I mean,
I like it right now, but
this
it's
is
not. I
like-
know it's going to get better.
Is that good?
Wow.
Oh yeah. So Dan, we I know we've worn you out, but now all these ladies here want to try Eden.
Yeah, I have
Yeah. Well.
They want us to do an Eden show.
Yeah.
They promised to wear pigs
We can do that.
and bring an apple,
With food. You want to
Snake.
be eaten with food.
snake
yeah.
around the neck, an apple, and wear figs. If we'll do the Eden tasting, That's what
Doug,
they
that
said.
means you have to take your shirt off. So
I have to wear. That's a scary thought. You might want to drink it. You'll want to drink a lot if that happens. Maybe we'll do Eden. That'd be fun.
This is like amazing.
Really?
It really-
You're the one who's getting to try it.
I'm
It's
so
so
jealous.
good. I mean, if you like dessert wine, then that wine. So the French, they eat frogois, right? And they drink sauternes. And the most famous one is called Chateau Yquem. And it's about, I don't know, it's probably $350 a bottle now for a current release. And so very expensive, in other words. This is $40 a bottle.
Yeah, much cheaper than a Sauterne.
And it's as good as any Sauterne.
Wow.
And instead of having it with foie gras, we have it with cheeses.
Mhm.
Or
Wow.
obviously you can have it with anything sweet. It's a dessert wine, so it goes. What I do is I get some good vanilla gelato in the summertime, and I slice up some peaches and I grill them, and then I do the
Oh,
peaches
no, this sounds
vanilla
great.
gelato, and I
Yes.
drizzle that over,
I could
Um,
imagine.
and I put a
Yes.
little mint sprig on the top to make it look cool. And it literally, as it melts all together, it just is like peaches and cream. It's amazing with a little
Oh my
smokiness.
God.
Ooh, yum.
Is your port? So I've seen. I'm trying to remember for sure. Is it like a Zinfandel port or
It's a Tempranillo.
Tempranillo? Oh wow,
Yeah.
Oh,
wow.
Wow.
Tempranillo,
What's
one
that
of my
mean?
favorite grapes. That's a Spanish.
Really unique. Yeah. Really, really unique. Really special.
now does your port come in like an unusual bottle as well?
Yes.
Like smaller and thin, sort of.
Yeah, it's a 500 milliliter,
Yeah.
and it's kind of barrel shaped. It has a like a barrel shape to it, and then it has a spout on top,
Okay.
and it's dark glass. It looks really cool.
And you're saying it's going to be closer to a tawny port than.
Yeah, I'm gonna let it get oxidized a bit more so that it will develop some some nutty flavors to it and dry out a little bit more. It's more like a ruby port right now, and I want it to be
Do you
more
want
like
it to be more like a tawny?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love tawny port.
It's really good. I mean, I could easily bottle it right now. And I mean, I only made 2 barrels of it because I only had 1 ton of grapes.
Okay, yeah.
And
Well,
so,
you
I
need
mean,
to
I can
save a
bottle it right
barrel for
now,
us.
but I want to make it really special. You know, I try to go out of my way to make my wine as good as I can, whatever wine it is.
Mm-hmm.
So this
It's
may have been
exceptional.
covered. This may have been covered in a previous show when I blanked out, but because it happens during these shows.
It's the sound of my voice, Mel.
No, it's not. No, it's the wine.
No,
Trust me.
no.
So you're talking about barrels and you're talking about tawny ports and stuff like that. I come from a little bit of a background of single malt Scotch tastings.
Yes.
Okay, so the distilleries over in Scotland, they always talk about getting barrels from winemakers to add to their flavoring. So have you been around long enough to be, contacted by any distilleries for Scotch?
I haven't worked directly with any distilleries, but I have worked with breweries here who use my old Pinot barrels to add some different flavors to their microbrews. What typically happens is once we're done with the barrels, they go out to like Tennessee or Kentucky, and they're used 1 year for bourbon production. And then after they've made bourbon in them, then they ship them over to Scotland for the Scotch.
Oh, so everything's recycled somehow.
Yeah, I mean there's a network.
Sweet.
Bunch of drunks.
Very cool.
Can you talk a little bit about the French oak? What makes those barrels more expensive? Is it a different
there's
type
a
of oak
limited
wood?
supply, and they're older trees. And they are a special species of white oak that does not grow here. So they have vanillin compound in the wood. And the youngest trees now are 150 years old. They're about 150 to 180 years old. And you need the older trees because you're only using the center part of the tree, between the core and the bark, that piece, that part that's in the middle. That's what they make the staves out of, and the staves are long. And so they need tall trees in order to make those. And it's the older trees that grow very straight that are used for that. And they harvest enough each year to make approximately 350,000 new barrels each year. And that's the entire supply for the entire world.
And that's only in France, and then they export them?
Yeah, there are 14 different forests in France that they harvest the trees from. And it's the French government sets the quota on the number of trees that can be taken each year. And it's supposedly sustainable, in air quotes. But when I started making wine 30 years ago, some of the trees were 300 years old.
Wow.
And now they're 150 to 180 years old.
Oh, interesting.
What does that mean? Do you think it's eventually going to be farmed out or something?
No, I mean, it doesn't mean that per se. It just means that we've cut down a lot of the older trees. They are replanted, and it is, theoretically, it's being done sustainable according to the government of France.
There you go. All right.
Dan, we have learned so much from you.
Yeah.
You're so awesome. I could listen to you for a long time. I'm like,
we're gonna have to watch all the shows over and over again to get caught.
No, I know I will.
Well, don't hesitate to reach out if you think of something.
Sure.
Thank
we might
you,
do that.
Dan.
We might. I think.
Thank you, Dan.
Eden tasting if you got enough.
Yes,
barrels.
Eden tasting for sure.
Eden.
And Cindy,
I think we've got some of
we can see.
I know the 14 is sold out, but I think we've got a little bit of the 15 and probably a little bit more of the 16. I didn't make it in 17 But I did make it in 18, but I'm not releasing that yet. So we'll probably use the 2016, which is really, really good.
Perfect.
And you guys, I hope I get to meet you all in person someday.
Yeah.
You will.
Yeah.
You
And we
absolutely
can raise a glass together.
You.
will. Yeah,
Cheers, everybody.
absolutely.
At this point, I think we're all going to come up there, and
The
whether you
Utopia.
like it or not,
We're all coming. We're caravanning to you.
I think
Yeah.
we need to
Perfect.
have a double concert up there on your
Yeah.
beautiful
There
land
you go.
Yes.
with the fix and the tubes.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And
Utopia
Utopia.
Wine.
And Utopia.
Tell Dan,
Utopia.
how
Yeah,
many
let's
people
have a party.
listen to this? You tell Dan how many
Hey,
people have seen it. I think it's, I mean, there's like hundreds of people that have seen these.
Yeah. We had somebody that said they've already rented your cabin. So that was cool.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, we heard
Yeah,
that.
the Utopia log cabin's awesome.
Yeah. That sounds fun. Yep,
Who
absolutely.
rented it?
I don't remember. It was a comment on the YouTube, and I didn't get
Somebody
some-
in the Todd community?
Yeah.
So what
Interesting.
happens? What happens, Dan? Just quick. Another question. What happens if you rent that cabin and you're staying there for, say, a long weekend or something?
Well, it's up to you.
Well, I
Well.
It's pretty open-ended now.
that's not what
What would you like to happen?
I don't.
Better get your business. 28 acres to do
Is
whatever
it
you want.
soundproofed? I don't know. No.
It's basically, it's very secluded. It's in the woods, and it's an ideal little retreat for couples, or maybe two couples. But it's really beautiful. It's very well appointed. You're gonna have everything you need to prepare a meal. All you do is bring your food, and you can wine taste in the area without ever leaving the gravel roads. There's tons of wineries. Utopia. Our tasting room my winery's right there. My tasting room is only a mile away in the vineyard, and so it's just kind of like a wine country getaway, basically. But it's amazingly secluded and quiet. And, I mean, it's just like birds chirping and the wind in the trees and stuff like that.
Okay, so you and your wife don't come down and join everybody for coffee.
Oh, if we're invited, we do.
Oh, good. Okay, got it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's great.
I mean, at least I'll show up. I can't speak for
I will invite you to bring me some port for breakfast.
Well, I mean, the port's in the winery. We can always taste it.
I would love to try that port.
We can always taste it. I mean, I know the winemaker, so we probably get a taste of whatever we want.
Yeah, exactly. Do the old
That's awesome.
The thief,
out of the barrel thing,
the wine thief.
Yeah. People love that stuff.
Amazing.
All right, good deal.
Pretty
All
great.
right, everybody. Well, thanks so much for being on. We appreciate it. All you ladies have been great. Dan, thanks for coming back.
Thank you so much,
Thanks
Dan.
for
Wow,
Thank
that's great.
you guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you,
And
Dan.
happy holidays, everybody. Happy holidays.
Yes.
Yeah, Merry
Oh,
Christmas,
you
Happy
too.
New Year.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year's.